Hey, welcome to West Ash Wednesday service. I'm so glad that you have a few minutes to take some time out of the busyness of life and the busyness of today to become intentionally mindful about today and the next 40 days, not counting Sundays, that lead us into Easter. Today is Ash Wednesday. It is a time that we remember the words, "From dust we came and from dust we shall return. Repent and believe the gospel." A few weeks ago, Dawn and I were at anti-racism training. And as a part of that conversation, at one point, someone was saying that why they do what they do and what makes them want to be in ministry is so that they can save people and so that they will go to heaven when they die. And the leaders very graciously steered that conversation back around to that our job here is not necessarily like life insurance. And that is truth. Today we remember the words and we think about the words, "From dust we came and from dust we shall return. Repent and believe the gospel." And what, if you're following along with the journal for Lent, what you're going to see in the next couple of days is that the word repent, it doesn't mean that life insurance concept that we've held on to for so long. What repent means is to turn in both the Hebrew and the Greek translations, and to turn away from missing the mark. And so, I want you to think for just a minute about a dartboard. And if you have the bullseye and you keep throwing darts and they miss the mark, that's what our lives are like. We keep aiming for the prize, we keep aiming for the bullseye, and then we miss it and we fall away. That the bullseye is not that life insurance. The bullseye is not, what happens to us when we die. Because you know what? Actually, it's all life. There's not life and death. It is life and then life in a new realm, a new way of being, a new understanding, a new level of consciousness. And so when we are trying to hit our mark, the mark that we're trying to hit is not something that's going to give us life after death. The mark that we're trying to hit is the one that gives us life both now and life eternal. What that means is that every day, every moment, every piece of our being is trying to hit this mark of love and perfection. And when I say perfection in the way that John Wesley, the founding father of Methodism, said it, is that perfection is that we love God with all that we have and all that we are, our hearts, our souls, our minds, our understanding, and that we love our neighbor. And Jesus gives clarity onto who is our neighbor, which means everyone, that we love our neighbors and we also love ourselves. That is going on toward perfection, going on to hit that mark. And anytime that we don't act in an act of love, we miss that mark. And so when Jesus came and he started his ministry and he said, "Repent and believe the gospel," what he meant when he said repent was to turn away from the stuff that keeps you from missing the mark. Turn away from your anger, turn away from your hate, turn away from your disdain, turn away from your apathy, turn away from your greed, turn away from your jealousy, turn away from anything that will keep you from missing that mark of love that is given to us and displayed to us through the person Jesus of Nazareth, who ultimately becomes known and understood as Jesus the Christ. Today, I invite you to be mindful about what causes you to miss that mark. Lane and Diana and Luann and all the others that are there leading with you. And if you're worshiping and just watching this online, I invite you to take a few moments and write down the things that get in the way of your missing the mark. That's that period of confession. And confession is good for the soul. A therapist that I knew once used to say, "You are only as sick as your secrets, but our secrets make us sick." There is something cathartic and purifying when we confess those things that get in the way of us hitting the mark, being people of love and people of intentionality. So I'm down here in Bluffton. It's why I'm not with you. Tom and I and his sister and his brother, we're working together and I'm serving more in a familial role, but also as a pastor with Tom and his family. And his dad looks to me as the pastor figure in his life. And yesterday I had the opportunity to speak with Ray at length about where he is and where his next stage of life is. And finally he said, I'm just ready to go on up in the skies. He said, I'm ready to fall asleep and not wake up. Now, I know that that is a statement of peace for him because we've shared before that he is ready to be with God. So, on this Ash Wednesday, like especially in this situation, I'm very mindful of our mortality. But I'm also mindful that, Ray, Mr. Cotterer, he's 90 and he is ready to move from this realm to the eternal one. But I'm at a different stage in my journey. And odds are, if you're watching this, so are you. And guess what? It's not about what's going to happen in that last 5 minutes or 5 days or whatever of our life. It's about what happens right now. What kind of meaning do we bring to our lives? Are we doing more than just believing in Jesus? Are we following Jesus? Do our lives look like we are followers of Jesus? This Lenten season, I ask you, I invite you, I implore you to be intentional about what our lives look like. Are we living as people of love? Are we trying to hit that mark over and over and over again in love? Or are we just sort of apathetic and like, whatever happens, happens, and, I'll deal with it one day? We each are given this opportunity of a day, today. And I invite us to be just as mindful today as our lives and its purpose as we would be if we were like in Tom's dad's shoes and facing our end of life. May we live and embrace today as one that is rich with potential and possibility, and not just for our self-gain, but for the gain of the kingdom that Jesus ushered in. One of peace, one of hope, one of joy, and one of love. I invite you to be mindful about those things on this Ash Wednesday. Thanks.